So, some foundational things about dating. What I've noticed that people are very bad at is picking right. It doesn't help you get into dating relationships with people that are fundamentally very poor in dating, that they treat people really badly, they can't communicate, they cheat on people, all kinds of bad behavior traits that really wreck relationships. You got to be able to pre identify this. This is not a fixer upper job. You can't get into relationships with a bad dating partner just because they're attractive and charming and then try and fix up extremely bad fundamental behaviors. So look at this girl. She looks beautiful, she looks attractive, but she murdered her two friends. You can't just see this by meeting the person at a social function. You actually need to spend time and know what to look for.
The defendant controlled all the events. She chose the day. Specifically, she chose a date just before her 18th birthday. She chose to drive the car, the time to drive the car. She chose an obscure, previously scouted route through an industrial parkway. She chose the target to hit and the victims. She chose the means and the method to follow through. And she planned and purposefully executed the events of July 31st, 2022. So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other.
These next photos are photos of criminals. They obviously have varying sentences, but look how decent they look. They don't even look like criminals. That's why it's so important to know how to judge people.
I believe that the abysmal divorce rate in this country, in large part, is affected by the dating practices in this country, because we start developing a disposable relationship attitude. Relationships are disposable. If they make me mad, if they don't pay enough attention to me, if this happens, we just get a new one. We just dispose of this relationship and we get a new one. And that becomes a life habit. I get a lot of young people on here that are just devastated with breakups. 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old. And my girlfriend just broke up with me. Me and my boyfriend just broke up. And they're devastated about it. And I've gotten a lot of questions. Dwayne, what do you recommend? So I'm going to tell you what I recommend, all right? I'll tell you what we did. I recommend that you stop, okay? Our children were not allowed to date until they were grown. We had a rule. No young man could write letters or nowadays text, email any of my daughters without coming and talking to me first. And I'll go into detail about that. And there were young men that came to me and I said no. And then they've come back, a couple years later, how about now? And I said no. Both those young men are now married to my daughters, and they have good, strong marriages. And I believe one of the things that has helped them have good, strong marriages is the fact that I said no. I told them, I said, look, you're a young man of good character. I don't have any personal problem with you, who you are, with what you are, okay? My problem with you is you're 15 years old or you're 17 years old. When you're that age, when you're a young person, you are not emotionally mature yet. I never allowed that. The reason I never allowed that is because you start setting a precedent, a life habit in your mind. This is my boyfriend, this is my girlfriend. Now we're not getting along, so we're going to break up and we'll find a new one. And so you start setting a life habit, a mindset that a relationship is disposable. And you start setting that mindset, you start setting that life habit while you're still young and impressionable and forming who you are. Okay? I never let any of my children, no one was ever allowed to date just for the sake of dating. Their boyfriends and girlfriends are not allowed. Dating, for me, is a path to marriage. And so I've asked sometimes, they've come to me, I'm like, do you think this is who you're going to marry? Are you ready to marry this person? Well, Dad, I can't marry him. I'm 15 years old. Then you can't date. And a lot of the young people, I believe, that contact me and say, I'm devastated because my girlfriend broke up with me, my boyfriend broke up. It's inevitable. It's inevitable because it's not natural. But if you're living at home with your parents and they're feeding you and they're housing you and they're clothing you, you are not mature enough to date. You stop the dating until you're at a point where I believe this is someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with. I believe that the abysmal divorce rate in this country, in large part, is affected by the dating practices in this country, because we start developing a disposable relationship attitude. Relationships are disposable. If they make me mad, if they don't pay enough attention to me, if this happens, we just get a new one. We just dispose of this relationship and we get a new one. And that becomes a life habit.
A very important point here. Don't go into relationships with people that have dated many other partners. They are used to leaving people when problems or discomfort come up or work is needed. They're used to leaving the person and going to another person. This does not make for great marriage material. Unless they're truly repentant and want to change this behavior and believe you build a great marriage or relationship and you don't find it. If they don't believe that, and if they're not repentant, don't date people that have had many dating relationships in the past.
And so now people get married and they treat marriage to a degree. After a while, they treat it just like they've done their whole life with dating. That I'm not happy with this anymore, and I don't feel the need or the desire to put the work into this to make this thing last, because I never have.